Good morning, colleagues. I hope you're doing very well today. My name is Janek Arts, and today I got a quite interesting topic because today I'm going to talk about differences with using pencils or ink pens for drawing. So I think this is going to be a very quick, simple idea to just talk about today. So I think it will do well, but yeah, we'll see. Also, thank you for the recent support on the channel, and let's get right into the video. Now, first of all, I will be talking about pencils and my main advantages of them. So let's just get right to explaining. Are that pencils are relatively simple to use. They can be a lot of fun when just starting out, and I feel like if you are a person that is just starting to draw and just starting to get into art and stuff like that, then your first pick at drawing and stuff like that should be a pencil, because it is, like I said, pretty simple to use. It has a lot of uses in different fields of drawing and stuff like that, and it has a lot of techniques that you can use with it. And it can also vary very much depending on the brand you can have and depending on the thickness of it. So a pencil is very good if you want to, for example, just start drawing and you don't really know what to start with. So if you are doing that, then I would definitely recommend you try a pencil for your first drawing and your first, let's say, artwork. And also one advantage of a pencil is that it's kind of cheap. When you want to actually improve yourself with drawing with pencils, you obviously need to buy different types of them, like the scale that goes from H to B. You need to have different like thicknesses of those pencils, so your drawings have a bit more character and they can vary much more than when you just use one type of pencil, because then you can shape the drawings differently, you can focus on the details more and stuff like that. And one good thing about pencils is that they are relatively cheap to do so, because it isn't like some kind of very expensive art utensil. A pencil is kind of cheap compared to other stuff that is out there and that is available, because, you know, a pencil is probably the most popular way to actually draw, and this is the most used way, the most known way. So I think the pencil is one of the cheapest and one of the best ways to draw, because there is so much techniques to choose from, there is so much, let's say, availability when it comes to buying pencils and using them. So this is probably the biggest advantage of drawing with that. And also you could say that the pencil is like very, let's say, variable, because you can use it to different things. A pencil is really good for drawing like quick sketches to practice your drawings and practice your future artwork. It also is good to do something professional with, let's say, measuring and stuff like that, because it is pretty easy to use, like I said. And it is also good for stuff like technical drawings, like something that requires a bit more detail and measurement. It isn't the best, obviously, but you know, it works. So it is very good for all of those things. Like I said, the pencil is extremely usable in almost every single way. Like, obviously, you won't be using a pencil when you want to paint, but you know, my point is that if you want to draw on paper, one of the best utensils that you want to draw with, and if you are just starting to get into drawing and stuff like that, it is probably your first and best pick, since there isn't that much that you need to remember about drawing with a pencil. There isn't that much techniques that are just very difficult to learn. The only thing that could be stopping you from using a pencil are, let's say, a pencil isn't very efficient if you want to do something very quick. Like, I know I said that it is good for practicing and just practice sketches, but if you want to do something like extremely fast and like a little sketch, it isn't very efficient, you know, because different pencils have different uses, but most of them find use in like bigger drawings that require a bit more time to put into. So the pencil isn't that good for that. And also, the pencil isn't that good for drawings that require a lot of detail, because even though you can sharpen them and they can have like a very precise input, better ways to draw them are just utensils that have a very small or a very narrow tip that can just glide across the paper with a single line that is very thin. And this is the best for drawing something that is very detailed, and pencils are not really good for that, especially the B ones. The B ones are used for shading, so they aren't that good to draw a lot of details. Like, I see people that just draw drawings that are just extremely professional and just use a lot of skill. they best find themselves with pens, and this is because they have different thicknesses and they can go extremely low. So this is probably the best thing to draw, and not a pencil. So a pencil is good for quick sketches. A pencil is good for practicing. It is your best first pick if you want to start drawing, but it is not the best when it comes to like super professional drawings and very quick little drawings. So this is it for the pencil part, and let's go onto the ink pen part. Now, the first thing about the ink pen is probably that it can be a lot better when it comes to drawing with details. Ink pens have a lot more usage when it comes to thickness and changing that thickness if you want to swap out something, for example. When you have a drawing that requires a lot of detail, your best pick would be either a pen or an ink pen, because they can have very small tips and that can help you a lot when you're drawing something that requires a lot of detail. So this is probably the best usage of an ink pen. The other one is that it can be a lot more useful when you want to draw something very quickly, because they can, like I said, be more precise, which isn't really what you're aiming for when you want to sketch, but at the same time, if you don't want to aim for precision, the pencil is just going to make it look even worse when you're not aiming for that. So an ink pen is going to be a bit better when you want to draw with precision and stuff like that. So I would say that this is a better way to actually draw with small little drawings. And the other stuff that is better when you're drawing with an ink pen is that you're actually improving your art skills. Ink pens require a lot more skill to actually use, because they use different shading techniques, they use different, let's say, hand motion to actually do something that looks good, and they require a bit more precision to draw, let's say, big drawings. So an ink pen can also improve your skills, because when you actually draw good with an ink pen, it means that you are actually improving, since they require a lot more skill than just a simple pencil, and they require a lot more, let's say, precision and just focusing. So those are the main advantages of an ink pen, but let's go on to the bad part of it. Now, the worst thing I can think of when it comes to an ink pen is that they are more expensive than pencils. And this goes for anything really when it comes to the art field, but trust me when I say some ink pens are very, very expensive. Like, I know that you pay for quality and you pay for something that is just extremely good and just very high quality and stuff like that, but when you want to draw, you don't really aim for that expensive utensils, especially if you are someone that is just beginning. So an ink pen isn't a good option when you want to do budget drawings and stuff like that. I wouldn't recommend that if you want to do stuff like this. And it also isn't that good if you want to draw something that requires a lot of shading, because ink pens, at least in my experience, are notoriously hard to actually master shading, because they require more skill to develop when it comes to drawing with ink pens, and they require more knowledge about just the hand motion that you're using, since they have a much different structure than a pencil, and they can just, let's say, make a gradient with an ink pen. So you're going to learn different techniques actually to shade with type of ink pen. So it is worth to use that when you want to, let's say, do a drawing that requires a lot of shadowing, because it can take up a lot of time. I mean, if you, for example, want to have a drawing that looks extremely detailed, for sure go for an ink pen, because it will make your drawing look much better than when you want to use a pencil, at least in my opinion. But when it comes to drawings that require extremely, like, let's say, shading areas and stuff like that, the ink pen isn't that, let's say, that easy to use, and it isn't that good. So I would say that when it comes to the ink pen, it is very good for detailed drawings, and it is very good for simple, quick little sketches, because it has more precision. But when it comes to, let's say, the cost, and when it comes to the overall usage of it, I wouldn't say it is the best utensil, So if you want to do something that is very detailed, or if you want to do something a little quick, go with an ink pen, because it is a lot better than using something like, let's say, a pencil. But if you want to do something that is requires a bit more time, and something that is a little bit more, let's say, skillful than when you want to draw something quick, go with a pencil because it is a bit easier to use, it is cheaper, and it is also better for drawings that require a lot of shadowing. So, in conclusion, we can say that an ink pen is better for people that want to draw professionally and people that want to actually use their skills in the real world. And the pencil is better for sketching, practicing, and drawing something that is also professional but not on the same level as with an ink pen. And also, one thing to remember before I conclude this video, my personal opinion is that I prefer pencils when I'm drawing, but you don't have to take this video that seriously. Every single person that is watching this will probably have a different, let's say, favorite utensil that they draw with, and they're going to have different opinions on techniques, different opinions on prices and stuff like that. Everyone has a different favorite utensil that they draw with. My opinion is that pencils are my favorite, ink pens are also very good, but I prefer drawing just simply and stuff like that. And you know, this question isn't that objective because it just requires an opinion and doesn't require an, like, let's say, a factual answer. So my conclusion is that, you know, everyone has the different opinion. There's nothing wrong with that. If you think that, for example, you find an ink pen to be better, that's totally okay. And different people are just then going to have different opinions on different techniques. So I think we're going to conclude this video here. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and also make sure to leave out ideas for future videos in the comment section. I think next week I'm going to make a video comparing traditional art to digital art, actually, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how my ideas flow. So yeah, Janek is out. Peace.